So the one thing that every junior real estate investor loves to imagine is that they will start their journey as a real estate mogul by purchasing the mysterious foreclosure, also known in some areas as a power of sale, a court sale, or a court-ordered sale. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you the entire process of buying a foreclosure here in my market of British Columbia. And make sure you stick around until the very end of the video, because even if you are a seasoned real estate agent who thinks,
Court sales, the good old days. I know those. They're no big deal.
well, you should stick around too, because in 2020, the whole procedure changed completely. And well, just 2 years later, it's changed again. But foreclosures are a really tricky business, and they come with an absolute ton of risk. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that is the best way you can avoid any unnecessary risk of missing out on up-to-date real estate information from both here in BC and across the whole country. And if you have ever successfully purchased a property at court, please go ahead and leave me a comment down below this video, because I would love to hear how it went. And now on to the video with a detailed step-by-step process for how to go about buying a property that is being sold by the Supreme Court of British Columbia. The first thing you need to know is that normally these properties will appear on MLS like most other properties for sale. You see, when a property is ordered for sale by the courts, it could be for many different reasons, but generally the reason is cash. Sometimes a strata will foreclose because the owner didn't pay their monthly dues or a special levy, but most often court sales result from someone defaulting on their mortgage. When that happens, the person, company, or bank that holds the mortgage applies to the court for what we call conduct of sale. After a grace period for redemption, if the owner can't buck up, they lose rights over their own property. Now, this is a little bit strange because usually the owner and the seller are the same person, but in a foreclosure, the owner is still the person who bought the house, and the seller is most often someone who the owner owes money to. Now, at this point, it's up to the seller to hire their own real estate agent. This means that in most cases, the listing agent works for the bank or maybe the strata and not the owner of the home. And this is kind of where it gets tough. If the owner is still remaining and living in the house, normally they are given the opportunity to comply with the sale as long as they allow access for showings, appraisal, and inspection. And most commonly, they are allowed to stay in the home all the way up until the possession date of the sale. Often, however, the owner can become quite difficult to work with, and well, you can't really blame them. After all, they're losing their home, and if they can't pay their mortgage, they often have other issues that are going on in their daily life that aren't easy to deal with. And that is the reason why most foreclosure properties are so messy and often even damaged. I mean, you have to ask yourself, if you lost the rights over your own property, would you really care about how it looks or cleaning up for buyers to come and take a look? So now an agent like me would have to coordinate showings with someone that isn't our client, and well, they're probably also quite unhappy. This is why, as a buyer interested in a foreclosure sale, well, you might get frustrated too, because showings might be very difficult or almost impossible. In the event that an owner or occupant doesn't allow access to the property, normally the foreclosing party will go back to court and obtain either an order for forced entry or possibly even an order for vacant possession, meaning that the owner could even be removed by law enforcement and the locks at that point could be changed. From a buyer's point of view, a vacant foreclosure is a much better and less risky purchase. The reason for this is because when you buy a foreclosure, you are buying it in as is, where is condition. So if the home is empty, your chances of receiving that property in the same condition as when you viewed it is pretty good. But if the owner or occupant still lives within the unit, who knows what damage they could do if they were disgruntled, or even what garbage could be left behind. But really, that doesn't matter, because when you buy a foreclosure, you sign off stating that you will accept the property in whatever condition it is on the day of completion. And how you saw that property before doesn't matter at all. Along with the as is where is clause, the seller that has the power of sale, well, they won't warrant anything at all. So if the roof is leaking or the hot water tank goes, that's the risk that, well, you take on as a buyer of a foreclosure. The seller also likely won't make any changes or repairs for any issues that you could find in an inspection. On top of that, the seller can't legally write in any of the fixtures or chattels, meaning that the fridge, stove, other appliances, or anything isn't guaranteed within the contract. So they might not be there when you move in, even if you saw them at the showings. And, well, if they are there and they don't work, that's on you. But other than that, the process is much like any other offer you would write. You draft an offer with your most desirable terms like price, closing dates, conditions, and deposit amount. And that offer is then attached to a document most commonly referred to as the Schedule A. The Schedule A contains all sorts of fine print, most of which outline even further that the seller is basically responsible for nothing but conveying the property. So now that you have your as is, where is offer attached with the Schedule A, your real estate agent will submit that offer to the listing agent, who will in turn submit that offer likely to the seller's lawyer. Now, if you're lucky, the seller's lawyer will simply accept your offer by clicking the like button for the YouTube algorithm. But in reality, you will probably receive a counter offer from the bank's lawyer with all sorts of changes, because lawyers, well, they really love making changes to contracts. And quite often, the biggest change is the price. You see, most buyers are under the impression that buying a foreclosure is like winning an episode of Storage Wars, and that properties are often bought at court for pennies on the dollar. And, well, that's just not true. But more on that in just a minute. Let's say you get an accepted offer on a foreclosure property. Well, now you can basically treat that condition period like any other purchase. You can take your time to arrange financing or even conduct a home inspection. Then, once satisfied, you can remove your conditions, pay your deposit, and voila, you would have just bought a house if it wasn't a foreclosure. But not this time, because you wanted a deal. You see, in the Schedule A, you have signed off that you understand that this offer is subject to the courts approving your offer. So now you have paid your deposit and you wait maybe 2 to 8 weeks for a court date. And then at court, the judge may or may not approve your offer. But there are other things that can happen at court. First, the owner of the home could still possibly come back and redeem their old mortgage. The owner might even beg for the court's mercy and be allowed more time to stay in the home. Or what is more common, other interested parties arrive at court to bid against your offer. And this is the reason why court sales rarely end up with a lower than market sale price as you originally thought you would get while searching for a deal. And now this is the part that has changed. So listen close. Pre-2020, myself, the bank's lawyers, and all of the interested parties and their agents would show up in court. At that time, if your offer is the only one, then hey, you probably just bought a property. But if there are other bids, every buyer resubmits a new offer, including you, the original offer. And to make it even more fun, everyone knows your original offer price, but nobody will know any of the new offer prices that are being submitted to the judge on that day. Now, in 2020, obviously, none of this was done in person. Back then, any competing offers were notified of the court date and the offer price. Then those buyers' agents would submit their competing offers directly to the seller's lawyer no less than 2 business days in advance of court. Then the original offerer would have another 24 hours or so to submit a new higher offer if they were competing. Then court was held via Zoom or maybe a conference call, and most often the judge actually reads out all of the offers out loud for everyone to hear. And it's at that point that the judge picks the winning offer. Normally, the winning offer is the highest price. However, I have seen judges award the original offerer the sale as a result of doing all of their due diligence in advance if the difference in the price isn't that substantial. Now, it's important to note that every other offer coming to court must be firm, with no conditions, deposit in hand, and they will only have 21 days to close after court. Actually, one time I was at court and someone brought in a lower than the previously accepted offer. And let me tell you, that judge stood up both the buyer and the buyer's agent and publicly humiliated them for wasting the court's time. Never waste a judge's time. But now, as of making this video, the process has changed again. Currently, the hearings have been moved back to in-person, but the part about submitting competing offers 2 days before court seems to have stuck. That's right, there's no more showing up at court and gathering up offers. And there's a really good chance that as we get used to this new process, some buyers and their agents won't understand the timeline and submission process of offers, and that might lead to more of the buyers with the original offers competing against less offers at court, and well, who knows? Maybe court sales will become a better deal again than they have been in the past. Because in the past, what you would do is show up to court, and even though the property may not be in great shape and you have no warranties and are taking on a ton of risk, in order to win that property at court, you may have to bid higher than if you had just bought a regular listing down the street that wasn't a foreclosure. If you're looking to buy a property in Surrey or the Fraser Valley, you can book a call with me right now down below in the description. Please subscribe, click the like button, check out another video before you go, and we'll see you in a couple of days.